Hi.
Good morning.
Look at that smile.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, no, thank you. Tell us who you are and who you're with and what your position is, and we'll roll right along.
Alrighty. I'm Kirsten, and I'm with Roads to Recovery. I work with Mark in the finance department.
So you're in finance too.
Mm-hmm.
And you said you'd been there 6 years?
6 years with Roads to Recovery. And this past year, we've grown so much that I needed help. And I asked Kirsten if she wanted to join me in the business office because we bought the Lynchburg Landscapes building right behind our recovery center at 3000 Langhorne Road. So she was more than happy to come over, and we work side by side. And we handle basically all the business aspects, all the different streams of funding and the bureaucracy that goes along with that, and fees from all the peers and our 7 houses. They pay weekly fees, so we keep that sorted out, and who's paying, who's not paying, help people with, money management. Most people come like, can you help me get my credit up? When I came to the program, my credit was like 480. And I jokingly say this, and I know I say it all the time, but I get high watching my credit go up now. That's what I get high on. Because
I do too. I sort of like
it's
that.
like I always think, good credit is kind of a reflection of a responsible person, somebody who's doing the right thing. And so I've gotten it to a point where I don't have to check it all the time, but every time it kept going up, it was like this, I'm doing the right thing. I never thought I'd be able to buy my own home or have a brand new car or have my own business on the side, and it's amazing.
It's your adrenaline rush now.
It really is.
And Kirsten, you've been there 3 years.
Two. I'll start my 3rd this month.
That's awesome. Man.
Yes.
So let's talk about some of the different programs and some of the things that you all do. The Shelter at Rest Outdoor Adventure. Tell us about that.
The Shelter at Reset is at 5th and Polk. No problem. We bought that building from Tony West, who I work for on the side. He gave us a very good deal on the building, donated a bunch of equity. Our original intention for it is to make it a withdrawal management clinic, non-medical, which we're in the process of renovating the lower level. And then over a conversation with someone from Miriam's house, Kristen Nolan, talking about how the Hands Up Lodge had closed, and there was no homeless shelter, low barrier emergency shelter here in town. I was like, well, we've got 4,000 square feet on the 2nd floor. And it was just this whirlwind, speedy, like, let's get this open. So we kind of had to put the shelter on hold, and the withdrawal management on hold, and then get these 4 apartments that were up there kind of converted into a communal shelter living community for those people who are lacking shelter here in Lynchburg. So it's 16 beds. We got to put some of our peers from the recovery program to work there. They enjoy giving back because most of us, in recovery have gotten either that close to homelessness or have been homeless. And, substance use disorder goes kind of hand in hand with homelessness, because if you become homeless and didn't have a substance use disorder, you're either going to experience some kind of trauma or you just get sucked into that lifestyle of living on the street. Mm-hmm. It's scary.
So there's 16 beds.
Mm-hmm.
And how does this operate, and what do these people do?
There's a process you have to go through. It's what's called a CHIA hotline, mm-hmm. And then they go through a quite simple registration process. And if there's a bed available, they can get admitted. Since it's a low barrier emergency shelter, there's very few regulations. Like, we can't have them come in and say, you have to come to AA meetings or one of our meetings. They can come in high, or you can't bring guns or drugs in, but if they left during the day and got high and come back, it's there to provide a roof over people's head and to get them in the process of finding permanent housing, getting them to the resources they need to work on their substance use disorder or mental health issues or just employment, lack of employment. Some people just had bad circumstances happening that they lost their home and they had nowhere else to go. They're living in their car. Or it's a variety of reasons.
How long can they stay there?
Up to I think it's 90 days. It was 120, I think, but it's 90 to 120, depending on the circumstances. And we've already rehoused, found permanent housing for quite a few. So that's really rewarding to see it coming to fruition. Like our mission, it aligns with our mission at Roads to Recovery, the recovery side of things. And some people have expressed interest in leaving the shelter to come to the program where they can stay for as long as they want. That's the one thing I loved about the coming to Roads to Recovery as a peer back in 2016 was most programs you go to are 2 months or a month and you're just sitting there the whole time wondering, where am I going to go after this? Where when you come to Roads to Recovery, there's no end date. We want you to stay for at least 6. Generally, our length of stay is 10.5 months to a year because that's how much time it takes you. You have to change everything,
And do most of these people, once they go through that 10.5 months to a year, whatever, are they still involved in some way with some of the other programs?
They should. In order to sustain your recovery, like Kirsten and I met her at an AA meeting. That was my pathway that I chose. I use therapy now and just talking like this helps my recovery. To be able to share my story, to put a face to recovery, to squash the stigma that comes along with it, because most people will be like, you're an alcoholic. I'm like, yeah. Well, you don't look like an alcoholic. Well, yeah, I do. Yeah, she does. We all know some, and they're not hobos, hopping on a train, going to the next town.
That is very true. That is true.
But you need to stay involved in some sort of...
Well, that's what I would think.
Yeah.
I think I've had a lot of different people that I've crossed paths with in my life that are alcoholics, and of course the recovery never ends. And so that was a question as I was going through the website, because I think in order to maintain your recovery, you have to stay. I think it's so much harder if people think they can totally walk away from things that have helped them get to where they are.
They get complacent.
Yes.
And they think, oh, I'm fine.
Yeah. And boredom creates a problem.
Isolation, all that stuff, just... The second you think you've got it and you can do it on your own, I tell people you're screwed.
Yeah.
You have to keep growing and evolving. Like you have some people that continue to go to AA. You have old guys, you have older, you call them the old timers that, they go every single day and they go every single day for the rest of their life. Which helps newcomers and helps the people that go in there. And I still go occasionally. But we also give back every day to the people that we work with, and that helps. That, just coming here telling their story and things like that.
So tell us about Recovery Smiles.
Recovery Smiles is a program that was created several years ago. Most of our peers that come in, their medical issue at the moment, pressing medical issue would be something dental usually, because their teeth have rotted or whatever. And a smile, to be able to get up and see your smile is life-changing. So with a grant from Centra to buy the actual hardware, you would say the teeth, we have several dentists in the area like Dr. Peary who donate their services. We'll send them to the free clinic to get like an assessment, what needs to be done. They'll pull teeth there. Although free clinic now is doing restorative work. And then we send them to the doctor with the information. They do the work, buy the dentures, or we get affordable dentures if that's what they need. If it's just like a tooth or two, that grant will cover the cost. And we've rebuilt quite a few smiles so far, and it's just when they come in the next day when they get their teeth. Like I had all of my teeth, but I had like a crown that was in there for years and years and years. I hadn't gone to the dentist in probably 20 years before I came to Rhodes, and I had that, my top rebuilt, and then I, paid for veneers, and I got a little extra stuff, We don't do like all that other stuff, but, and now that Medicaid is actually covering more of the dental side of things, that's been helpful. So we're allowed to help, we can now help more people because there's, access to those funds.
So the Roads to Recovery's residential recovery program, I guess the 16-bed place that you have, is that a part of this, or is this something separate?
It's totally separate.
So tell us about this.
You want me to go ahead?
Which one?
Roads to Recovery.
The residential
recovery program.
The residential, that one is, we have 2 current women's houses and we have 4 men's recovery houses. And we have 1 women and children's house, and we are currently getting another one actually today. And that's actually going to be filmed and shown at our 10-year anniversary that's also coming up in September. But we have, basically we get people from either jail or right out of detox.
Mm-hmm.
They have to come in with a clean drug screen because that way this is the next step of their recovery. And then we help with jobs and getting their license back. Basically just getting their life back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so neat to see them go from, we pick people up from jail, and then 6 months later they have a full-time job, a career, and it's...
We contract with the state to provide at least 45 beds.
Mm-hmm.
All of the houses are accredited by the Virginia Association of Recovery Residences. Like she said, we have 4 men's, 2 women's, now 3 women's, starting on the 15th of this month. And it's just, you're living in a communal setting, which is important for recovery. There's 3 things you really need to sustain long-term recovery. You need stable housing, you need the social support that our program and the houses provide, and a reason to get out of bed in the morning. Meaningful employment, meaningful volunteer work, something to make you rise from the bed. Mm. And what we do is, we provide our own recovery meetings daily, smoking cessation, recovery dharma, which kind of practices the Buddhist principles. We have AA meetings, NA meetings at the office every day. We have recovery focus on recovery focus. Keeping people engaged in recovery, especially for the first 90 days to 6 months, because it has to become part of you. You can't just say, I'll go to a meeting in a week. I went to AA every day religiously for 2 years. I don't go anymore. I kind of looked at it as like a college education, and I learned what I had to learn, and I put it into action, and I come around and do this. Tell my story, put a face, share my lived experience. But the houses are our main program. That's what really got us started. We started with the one house at 16th Street, 1100 16th Street. That's the house I lived in. And we bought that house. We bought our Westview house. We have a house Westover, Oak Ridge, Rivermont, Norfolk. So they're all pretty close to our recovery hub. No length of stay. I mean, you can stay as long. We have somebody in our program who's been with us for over almost 7 years.
Mm-hmm. And we also take people camping. We go to Kings Dominion. We do outings, bowling, Hillcats games, and all. Yeah,
that's the Roads to Recovery Outdoor Adventure. So we through a grant from Cabela's, we've bought really great outdoor equipment and sleeping bags and tents and a trailer and canoes and kayaks, and showing people that there's more to life than hanging out at a dark bar or in your dark house with the windows, blinds drawn. That you can actually have fun and experience real happiness, real joy, because you look back on all the experiences you've had drinking or doing drugs or whatever it was. Oh, wasn't that great? wasn't really great because it was all induced by, a substance. Instead of sitting here and enjoying each other's company, this is real, this is genuine. It's not altered by,
Shots.
things. Yeah. Yeah.
So, when you pick somebody up from jail, and you know my background, I mean, I've been around some pretty rough people. How do you deal with, do you have a fear of what this person's going to be like? You don't know them. Do you typically really have problems with them, or?
Because they're sober.
Well,
they're sober at that point.
I remember, this is a good story. My first week, actually, Mark and I drove,
to Chesterfield,
yeah, and we picked someone up, and they were in our program. We went to Walmart and we bought them clothes.
They had nothing.
They had absolutely nothing. And they stayed in their program probably for 6 months. He now owns his own business. He has a baby. And I'm pretty sure he's still sober.
Yeah, he's still sober.
Yeah.
It's it's funny, I lived in a house and I was like petrified kind of because I'd just been through these experiences where I had to suppress who I was, and then it was just like, oh God, am I gonna have a hard time here? And we all have this mix of, either criminal background, maybe some mental health disorder, trauma, and in the 7 years I've been affiliated with the program, either as a peer or as an employee, we have never once had a physical altercation. We've had, verbal, like, people getting all mad because somebody ate a cheese stick of theirs, that kind of silly stuff. And I go, how old are these people? But, it's just one of those things that when people are sober, I committed crimes like driving drunk every day because I was drunk. People committed crimes because they were high and needed money to get more. It's that insatiable, uncontrollable need to have more. You wake up wondering if I ever even fell asleep, I passed out maybe. Where am I going to, I'm out, like I need more. The panic at 9 p.m, like, should I go get more before the store closes? Going to, whatever store to steal what I needed to keep myself feeling normal, for that fear of if I go without, I'm going to get really sick and I don't want to go to the hospital again. But eventually, I tell people when they come to the program, if they came to us, because we don't take insurance, we don't refuse anybody if they can't pay. It's nice if they have the admission fee, but we're an incredible life-changing program, but it's the kind of the bottom of the barrel. This is for people who have nothing. And, when they come in and sit down and meet me, I'm just going, if you are here, this is never going to end. I'm just letting you know right now, until you decide to end it, it's never going to end. We can't help you if you aren't. We can help you maybe get closer to the decision if you have some willingness to change, but if you're not ready to change, you're just not going to change. I watched a clip with Robert Downey Jr. the other day, and he said something so profound that I never really put it together, but he's like, the sober part is really easy. Getting sober, it's making the decision inside of your head to say, I can't do it anymore. Once you decide that I'm done, it becomes so much easier because you decided not to do it.
So, I'm sure you've experienced people, though, that just haven't made a continued recovery.
Absolutely.
And so what happens then?
We're both those people. How many times do we say, this is it, I'm done, over and over? So we can't get upset when somebody returns to use, is what we call it, because we ourselves have returned to use. And it's like, how deep do you have to dig that hole before? Some people don't, they die. Mm-hmm. They are incapable of being honest with themselves and others, as AA would say. And we wanted to live. It's like, I didn't know how much I wanted to live until I almost died, and then it was off to the races, and then drive kicked up and effort kicked in and discipline. This person that I still go, what's coming out of my mouth right now? But I can talk about it with such passion because it works. Our program works. What we offer at Roads to Recovery works.
When I first came in, I remember my sponsor telling me that if I stick around, I'm gonna see a lot of people die. And she couldn't have been further from the truth.
You know, that it amazes me because I do know of people that have died from, I guess, alcohol poisoning
or just complications as you've destroyed your organs from alcohol, and then something else kills you because of the effects alcohol took on your body. That I am as healthy as I am with the amount of alcohol I consumed and the kinds of alcohol I consumed is a miracle. It's like I'm here for a reason, you know?
So how do you care for these people? Let's say you have somebody in your program and they're in one of these houses, but all of a sudden they're just pouring it on again.
You would be surprised the amount of people in our program that have been in our program once or twice or 3 times before. Because I always say, if somebody returns to use, and if they don't leave on their own, the first thing we do is try to get them to a higher level of care, either it be detox, back to treatment, or some other kind of care that we're not the right level of care for you right now. Call us, after you've done this or that, and then they come back. But sometimes it's a symptom of the disease. You have to fall many times sometimes because that disease wants you dead, really. And the thing I love is that they may leave pissed or think we're the worst people in the world because of their delusion from alcohol or returning to use. And when they need a place to come, they call us because they know we're going to answer and we're going to be there for them, and we're going to open the doors again. We've learned that many people who have come back turn out successful once they've been kicked around long enough. This was the first program I ever came to where its team is all people in recovery. Even our founder is a product of a family member who died from alcoholism. She grew up living with this disease in her face for years, and that's what made her decide to want to go into this field, was to help people to deal with it and cope with it and recover from it. So we're all in recovery that work at Roads to Recovery. So we offer family support as well, because it affects not just the addict, it affects kids and husbands and everybody. And really, it's like a tornado. It just goes through and just...
How do you deal with, because people that are in recovery of any type, you're definitely, or I know the people that I've been involved with, they're so much more volatile to their feelings. So when you're dealing with these people and they, as I've heard people refer to, backsliding, I mean, how do you personally deal with that? I mean, because you have to stay focused, you have to keep a smile on your face, you have to be an example, and you work with these people and you think you have another success story, and then all of a sudden they just slide back. I mean, how do you both deal with this? Because you cannot help. I feel that people that are in recovery are so grateful, and I feel like their success of desiring continued success with the recovery, it's got to, I know for me, because I know we talked like a year ago when we were talking about what you were doing, and I made the comment that I always seem to have somebody that I'm working on. There's always somebody in my house, and I had a young lady living with me who was 40 years old and an alcoholic, a drug abuser, actually had prostituted to be able to have money, and through a friend I found out about her, and the next thing I know she's living in my house, and she's helping me with my animals in my house, and by the time she left, her alcohol consumption was down 75%. She wasn't doing drugs at all. But unfortunately, her family would not let go. And her family was the fire for this. They actually, in my opinion, they liked her that way because she served purposes for them, which is too long a story to get into. But finally, you know, she did her backslide and she was doing drugs again, and it was not something. I'm not at a level of ability to care for somebody like that, but it was so incredibly disappointing because I worked with this young lady for 2.5 years, and I'm not licensed and I don't have education in this, but my father was an alcoholic, so
you have lived experience.
Yeah, I've experienced a lot more than I think actually most people have that have been exposed to this. So I know it's so incredibly disheartening, and if you try to deal with this every day, and then your own recovery is so difficult, but then which is why you can do this, but then the flip side is it's got to make it even more difficult.
It can be heartbreaking sometimes, you know, you just go, ugh. But then I have to sit back, or she sits back, and we go, I did it. How many times did I do it? How many times did my parents get excited? Oh my God, he's in the program, he's doing well, and then...
All right, he says we have 1 minute. So let's talk about your fundraisers quickly, because you've got the gala coming up in September. So tell us about that. And
Go ahead. 10th year gala.
Yeah.
10 years as an incorporated 501c3 nonprofit. It's a big event that, you know, we hope to raise a lot of money for, because it's with the shelter opening. You know, we've had a little strain on funds, so we're hoping that everybody can come out. It's $125 a ticket, $1,000 a table. We can get you a sponsorship level sheet if you'd like. It'll be at the Academy Warehouse Theater. We're going to be telling stories and just doing a lot of thanking, and we're so grateful for everybody who supported us over the last 10 years. She's a big part of the development and helping with finding sponsors and stuff. So
awesome.
Yes, that's all I do is ask for money.
You should be good at that.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to sponsor that this year.
Well, we would really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Well, our time's
It's been
up.
a lot of fun.
I'm getting
Thanks,
this.
Robert.
Thank you all both.
Thanks for
It was
having
awesome
us.
to meet
It's
you.
always fun.
Nice to meet you.
I'm looking forward to seeing this
Yes. Are you coming?
to the gala.
Yeah.
Yes, I talked to Tiffany about that this morning.
Nice.
Please do. I hope you do.